This is Dr. Jeff Meldrum, and you're listening to the Paranormal Zone.
Look, I know the supernatural is something that isn't supposed to happen. It does happen. A ghostly apparition in the dark of night.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Hey there, fellow zoners. You are in the Paranormally Zone, your weekly dose of all things paranormal, strange, and mysterious. My name is Patrick Koffenberg, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the tired of whining Mr. Michael Carbno, the tired of whining. Yes, that's what he described himself as during our pre-podcast banter. So
I am.
That's not on me. That's on you. You said that yourself.
I did, because I hate it. I hate hearing myself every time I get up off the couch. Or, the scream or whatever.
Oh, you mean that?
Oh, yeah. That has happened.
God damn it. I know. I can just imagine. I still can envision Mary just sitting on the couch, and you're venturing towards the restroom, and she's in the middle of a very, dramatic, quiet scene in some particular movie, and then just out of nowhere, a big loud crash, and
then all of a sudden you hear, "Can't even pee when I want to."
Yeah, exactly. I should have brought that up. God darn it.
Anyway.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just ridiculous, and I keep apologizing to Mary, and I know it's been talked about on the show ad nauseum. I've always wanted to use that. I never have used that.
Hey, that was very, very good.
But
I'm impressed.
Yeah, just and okay, I'm gonna just for a second. Yes, my back is even worse. My nerve ablation is done, and I don't see the doctor until the end of this month and see what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going to relabel you then. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host with the ghosts, the paranormal poster boy himself, the still whining Mike Carbno.
No, I'm done now.
Okay, good. No, and you know what? I tease, but you have every right to whine, because your body is just in shambles, man. You need to.
Yeah, it's a downward process.
And you're gonna how the hell?
My knee and my feet.
Can I ask you one thing? Because we're going to dive right into this little.
Yes.
This Mike let me know that he's been getting some very strong vibes about our visit to the Sally house. So I was going to ask you. We're supposed to bring our own sleeping bags, because obviously we cannot lay on the beds.
Right.
Not that I was planning on doing that anyways. How the hell are you going to survive laying on the floor at the Sally house? Are you you're going to stay up all night and stand?
I am going to probably be sitting on the couch with a blanket wrapped around me. And okay. I don't know. I might try and put my head back and sleep, but yeah, I don't know. That's kind of weird how that's going to turn out. I mean, I don't imagine sleeping very well.
That's the thing, man. I've been thinking about that too. We're going to be exhausted on the long drive home. We're going to be in kind of that state of we haven't slept at all for like a day straight, basically. Yeah. And so I just want you to please drive safe on that.
Oh, I will be.
On that Daisy drive home.
I'll be drinking energy drinks, I'm sure.
Oh, okay. So you'll be extra jittery. Great.
Well, yeah, but I can't do a whole lot because I got to think of my blood pressure. That something will probably kill me from
how about
drinking too many.
Yeah, that's true.
Energy drinks.
How about you think of my mental well-being too for the entire drive home?
Yeah, that'll work too.
I don't know what's going to be more frightening, our experiences at the Sally house, or me trapped in your vehicle
Yeah.
on the drive there
Yeah.
and the drive back. I'm a terrible passenger. I mean, I'm not like one of those backseat drivers where I'm pointing shit out, and blah blah blah. Why are you doing this? But as far as me,
I'm freaking out.
I'm freaking out. I'm like clenching the handle on the on the door rest, whatever, the armrest, I should say. And I won't be comfortable for a little while.
Yeah.
But I'll come around.
But the trip is worth it.
Well, I hope so. I definitely
Yeah.
hope so. Well, let's dive into it, Mike. What is this vibe you were telling me about? You texted me this earlier today. Just kind of randomly.
Strong vibes. Every time that, we're putting a lot of energy into this trip. I mean, mentally and all of that, there's a lot of energy going into this. And the last few days, it's been like at least 3 days. Every time that the Sally house or Sally comes up in my mind and I'm thinking about it and thinking about while we're there and what we're going to do and how it's going to go. And all of a sudden, very strongly, and it's not me bringing it up, Debbie is there in my mind.
Debbie?
Yes, it's Debbie.
As longtime listeners know, ding,
Yes.
ding, ding. I don't know where your dingy bell's been lately, but that's okay. So don't hurt yourself trying to find it. Are you okay? Okay. No, as longtime listeners know, I thought you grabbed it. As longtime listeners know, ding, 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 they all know. There you go. They all know what the It's Debbie EVP is all about. And now you're saying when you think of the Sally house, for whatever reason, what you get like an image? You get like images in your mind?
Just barely, not enough even to kind of expound on or anything. But the strongest feeling is that, and this is the conclusion that I came to from thinking about all this and figuring it out and getting the feeling of the answer, is that Debbie, when we're there, Debbie's going to be there with us.
Okay, that's really interesting. And this is something this isn't just a one-time thing. This is...
No, it's been like the last 3 days, like I said.
Why do you think that's it?
And
like, what do you have?
I don't know. Well, see, Debbie and I, we have a relationship from the years that we lived together, well, so to speak.
Yeah.
The interaction. She's got a huge connection to you with the recording and, trying to talk to her and communicate with her all those times.
And I was just this last weekend, I was trying to find
And you were trying to find her grave. She knows that.
And the thing is, that's 2 times now that I have searched and I cannot find her headstone. I am kind of flummoxed and I'm kind of concerned. I don't know if it's just been totally overgrown or if it's been if she's been moved. I don't know. I have no idea what's going on there. Because,
that's strange. But
because it was found. We found that thing years ago. So
yes, absolutely,
we found
it
her,
was found.
Her headstone. So I'm a bit, like I said, flummoxed. But please continue.
But yeah, it's the relationship that we have with her over the years. And we've continued that relationship through this show, actually. I mean, obviously.
That's a cool way of looking at it, yeah.
Well, yeah, very seriously. To me, and what I feel and almost know is that she is definitely going to be there with us. It's like, it's like there's a lineup of things that are coming together before we get there, and she's part of that. The house is part of that. The 3 ghosts that are supposed to be there are part of that. Sally is a huge part of that. And Sally, I mean, it's this, the children, the age group, the relationship that we've had with Sally and the energy we're putting into this trip, it brings it all together.
Man, that's a definite new twist. I wasn't expecting that. That's for sure.
Yeah, I didn't think you would, but and still when we get there, could be absolutely nothing, but we're going to hope for the best. But
right, exactly.
But it would be so cool to get some kind of a Debbie connection recorded while we're there.
Okay, I'll be a little weird here. I'll be a little bizarre. Is there any? Okay, let's say that this is legit. the vibes that you're getting is legit. Is Debbie perhaps but we're assisting us in any way?
On our side, for sure.
Yeah. I don't want to go as far as saying protecting.
No,
but
there's going to be no need for protection, but she will be there as a representative from the same side that the three are that are already there.
Oh, I see. Oh,
and
great.
It also evens it out. There's three of us and three of them.
Wow. Hey, that's pretty cool, man. I like that. I like how you're thinking.
It's been very strong, though. It's not just like, ooh, wouldn't it be cool if,
I think it would be
there.
I think it wouldn't be a bad idea to bring like some incense or something if we're allowed to bring like quote unquote protective. What do you want to call those?
I wonder. They said no candles.
No candles. I wonder if incense is not allowed either. But
right. Maybe we'll stow some in our bag and then go from there.
I thought you were going to say we're going to stow a priest in your trunk and we're going to haul them all the way down there. Finally, let him out.
My cousin Jamie, he'd be happy to come along, I'm sure.
In the trunk or in the back seat?
Well, somewhere, but probably not in the trunk.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can just
priest
just popping up the trunk and this manic, just soaking wet from sweat, priest just leaps out at us.
Leaps out with a K2 stuck to his face or something like because he's laying on it.
That's right.
Anyway,
and of course we are being 100% silly. We have no intentions of kidnapping priests, so
no.
Don't go spreading that rumor now.
Yeah, but the whole Debbie thing, definitely, it's been a real thing.
That's really cool, man.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, and we'll move on to our topic here very soon. Like I said, I have been wavering back and forth. Initially started up, I was very kind of like kind of weirded out, but then I've been really, really positive about it. But that was just like earlier this week when I was kind of like I had that little apprehensive feeling again.
Yeah.
But right now I feel totally fine. So it's going to be like that. It's going to be back and forth.
Yeah, it's been the same thing with me. And then when I get apprehensive about it, I start thinking about it. Kansas barbecue.
That's right, and that gets you through it. That gets you through it. That's right.
Yep, I'm bringing home a big doggy to go tray.
There you go.
For Mary, and then I'm going to snack off of that too. Yeah.
Well,
Can't wait.
We're talking one of the world's most, dare I say, infamous? Yeah, I'll say infamous mystery / UFO, perhaps alien incidents. One of the better known, if not the most well known. We're talking about the Roswell mystery, the Roswell incidents. As longtime listeners know, a lot of times we come up with our topics quite literally the day of recording, and more often than not, when we do that, those are topics that we're fairly comfortable with, and we feel like we're fairly knowledgeable regarding said topic, and so a hell of a lot of research isn't quite necessary. Hopefully it's not noticeable to our listeners. But it was funny because when Mike and I agreed on this topic, it was either yesterday or earlier this morning, we're like, yeah, it's good to go. It's good to go. And I explicitly texted to Mike about calling it, making sure that we're talking the Roswell incident now. And then right before we start recording, Mike's like, okay, Area 51. So, well, no, but you're good though. You said you're still good with Roswell.
I'm definitely good.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Are you adjusting yourself right now, or what's going on?
Pulling my T-shirt down.
No, couldn't
adjusting myself.
Well, I couldn't quite tell what you're doing. It's just I saw like something was moving. Well, whatever. I won't describe it.
Yeah.
All right, well then, Mr. Comfortable enough with the topic, let's get going with it. The Roswell incidents. Before we start diving into some of the kind of the well-known, I hate using the word conspiracy theories, but some of the well-known alien / UFO related theories as to what actually happened here, we'll give you kind of the nuts and bolts of it, kind of the behind the scene facts, I guess. As we all know, the Roswell incident took place near Roswell, New Mexico back in 1947, and it involved the crash and recovery of a U.S. Army Air Force's high-altitude balloon, which, of course, went on to become the center of conspiracy theories. Now, what started it all is because initially, after this debris was recovered by a rancher, by the way, a local rancher,
Yes.
W. Mac Brazel.
Brazel.
Oh, I said Brazel. I said Brazel. Maybe
Well,
it's
yeah,
Brazel.
you can say whatever you want.
I suppose. Well, I say Brazel. You say Brazel.
You
You
can call
say
him Mac
Brazel.
Ice Cube as far as I care.
Well, that doesn't sound right. No, that
They'll
doesn't
rap
sound
a
right.
little bit for you.
But this material was discovered by rancher W. Mac Brazel, however you prefer to describe it. And upon receiving this, when the U.S. military reported on it, they absolutely sparked intrigue and mystery by claiming initially that the debris was from a quote-unquote flying disc.
And that is what the military said. You gotta think of that point there.
Uh-huh.
They aren't going to come out with, let's joke around and say this.
Yeah.
Or public relations. It's exactly what they are. I mean, what put that out was public relations, and they had to go through the right. Well, they must not have went through the right people to have this, to be able to sell the story or put the story out, not sell it, but
Yeah.
they wouldn't have put that out there with just hearsay.
No, I mean that was a huge decision to make. I mean,
Yeah.
that's something not to be made lightly.
It would have had to have been approved by somebody, like higher up officer. I mean, it just doesn't make sense that would have just been some joke that the military did.
No, there wasn't just some low end, Air Force cadet who was running towards the camera and say, "Oh, it's from a flying disc." No, this had to go through the upper echelon of the military ranks in order for this report to come out.
At least on that base level.
And by the way, when I said like not some little Air Force cadet, I'm not demeaning any sort of military ranking. They all start out as cadets. You got that? I mean, I'm not.
Right.
Nowadays, when you're a public voice and you're doing podcasts, you have to always make sure that everyone understands clearly everything that you mean. Otherwise, someone's going to be offended and you're going to be canceled. So I just want to.
Well, when I was in the Air Force, I was a lower, middle, and then whatever. You
were a middle
level of. So I accepted each one as it came.
And I thank you for your decade of service.
Yes, it was a fun decade.
Very fun decade. You definitely told me some crazy fun stories.
Yeah, it wasn't always fun, believe me. But anyway.
But, after initially claiming that it was from a flying disc, they immediately retracted that story the next day and saying that, in fact, was wreckage belonging to a weather balloon.
And why did it get retracted?
Yeah.
I mean, and who would have retracted it?
Yeah.
After it got out, the higher ups that, like from the whole Pentagon area, possibly, or wherever, they got word of this and they shut it down.
Yeah. I mean,
they said, figure it out, retract it however you need to make this go away.
You can't ignore the simple fact that they change their story quickly. Maybe we're looking too deep into it, but man, it's definitely makes you raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, well, and if it was actually a balloon, a top secret mission that had crashed or whatever, and they wanted to keep that a secret, but then why would they? Well, let's come up with a cover story and say it was aliens in a flying saucer.
Yeah, that's just okay. Yeah, what a great cover story. I mean, come on. I mean,
and the next day they figured out, nope, that's not going to work. Pull it.
And you have to consider the political and social zeitgeist. I like that at that time, and we were as in the United States and several other countries in a flying saucer craze.
Oh yeah.
Just people coming out of the woodwork claiming to see flying objects, bright lights in the sky. This came almost a decade after Orson Welles' War of the Worlds sent the nation into a panic.
Exactly.
And so this was fresh in everyone's minds. So let's just continue the hysteria, and let's just say it's a flying saucer because we're the military and we want to remain calm and cool and collected and make sure everyone's safe. So let's just send them into a panic. I don't know.
Yeah.
Doesn't quite make sense to me. Moving on, in 1994, however, it was finally revealed, Mike, you knew that, right? It was finally revealed that the balloon was part of the top secret Project Mogul.
Mogul, yeah.
Which sought to detect Soviet nuclear bomb tests. But of course, that revelation did little to end the wacky conspiracy theorists, right? 1947, as I mentioned earlier, United States, other countries in the midst of that flying saucer craze. And it was against this background that, we mentioned this already, when Mac Brazel discovered this unusual debris. The material included tin foil, rubber strip sticks, and a quote-unquote rather tough paper. End quote. Apparently Mike finds that humorous. The rather...
Yes, and the tinfoil has memory shape to it.
That's right, though. That's something that, we'll get to him later. That's something that a major name, no pun intended, a major name, Major Jesse Marcel, he claimed to have brought some of this material back to his home.
Right. And then Jesse Marcel Jr., throughout his life after he, and as an adult, continuing that story and carrying it on and keeping that story going.
Yeah.
Because his father brought it home and showed it to his son, and his son knew the story from the beginning when his father brought home pieces of this crashed, whatever it might have been.
Yeah, and including those, seemingly metal strips, or like when you would crush them in your hand or you would bend them in any sort of way, they would immediately, according to Major Marcel, they would flatten out and just return to its initial state as it was.
Right.
So that's interesting. So it's like something that definitely did not appear to be man-made, I suppose. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is also interesting is that when it did unfold and return to its initial shape, it made this noise.
Yeah.
I like that noise.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where that came. That's actually where the Looney Tunes found that, because they're behind. They're behind all these conspiracies too. So
all the technology that we have been using since crashed alien aircraft, and the Looney Tunes Boing is one of them.
Yeah. So wouldn't it be hilarious if actually the actual crash itself sounded like that? Just bouncing off the, sorry, I make myself laugh. I'm an immature little boy every now and then, but I'm envisioning that the saucer just skidding off of the ground back and, before it finally comes to a halt.
The boings get closer together and not as loud.
Not as loud, right. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, where do you think Martin Martian came from?
Very true. Marvin the Martian.
Marvin the Martian, yeah. Well, Martin was his lesser known cousin that was kind of in steerage on the ship.
That's very true. That is a good point.
When it crashed.
I forgot about him. Yeah, he
could not pay his bill, so they put him in steerage.
And what was also kind of disconcerting is that when the flying saucer finally came to a halt, it seemed to be it was confusing to hear what appeared to be laughter coming from inside the saucer. I don't know why. They're having too much fun. Just having
laughter, and every once in a while they scream.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Anyways, so. Sorry about that. All right, as I said, the material included tinfoil, rubber strip, sticks, and a rather tough paper. The following month, Mr. Brazel took the items to the Roswell sheriff, who in turn contacted the RAAF, the Roswell Army Airfield. After collecting the wreckage, the RAAF issued said extraordinary press release we talked about earlier, stating that a flying disc had been retrieved from a local ranch. The Roswell Daily Record immediately picked up the press release, and on July 8th, the story was printed with the headline, RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. But as we mentioned earlier, Almost immediately, the military announced that the saucer had actually been a weather balloon carrying a radar target, a device somewhat similar to a box kite, which was made of foiled paper fastened to a balsa wood frame, or balsa.
Yeah, that's what they said. It was balsa wood, tinfoil, and Scotch tape.
Ooh.
And on the metal beams where the UFO people say that there were hieroglyphic type symbols on there. So the explanation for that from the other side is that was Scotch tape with like Christmas designs on it or something like that.
Yeah, that convinced me right there.
Yeah,
we're done talking about this right now. It's just Christmas paraphernalia. Interesting.
Roswell, yay or nay? Nay.
Nay. It was then when the Roswell...
It was just tape and balsa wood.
and styrofoam.
Yeah.
Not long after that, the Roswell Morning Dispatch noted the new claim in a July 9th, 1947 article entitled Army Debunks Roswell Flying Disc as World Simmers with Excitement. But, however, it should be pointed out that the interview did include portions of a chat with Mr. Brazel, who did not believe that debris he discovered was from a weather balloon, because he says that he has actually discovered debris from a weather balloon before, and it was not similar in any manner.
Yeah, it's just like a weather balloon goes down and I think it kind of stays in one piece. It's like stretched out, like, I don't know, whatever. But
and I don't know, whatever. I like that.
Yeah, it's like, it's not like scattered over a huge area of like a debris field, which is what he had found. The debris field in with the tinfoil type material all over the place. So, he would probably, I would say he would know the difference between a weather balloon and something that he's never seen before.
No, I agree. The Roswell incident kind of faded away in the subsequent years.
Until about the mid-'70s, actually.
Well, and that really returned to prominence with the release of the 1980 book, The Roswell Incident, by authors Charles Berlitz and William L. Moore, in which they labeled the weather balloon explanation as a cover story.
Yeah.
They argued that the original debris, which they believed was from a crashed flying saucer, had been flown to Wright Field, later Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, which is near Dayton, Ohio, and the material from a weather balloon was hastily substituted. Now, the book was widely disputed. It sparked additional conspiracy theories, as well as a number of hoaxes. And of course, all the hoaxes just really help, people who are open-minded to this possibly being of alien nature, because the hoaxes just add to the pseudo-skeptics, their arguments. They just point, well, look at that. That was a hoax. Well, yeah, that was a hoax. That doesn't mean everything else was.
Right. And then the fact, too, that, the story was out by the military. And even after that redaction came and with the cover story or whatever it was, that still set the seed in many, many people that will never believe anything but that it was a flying saucer, and that it's a cover up because of how they pulled that story and everything. And yeah, there was a lot of people, a lot of believers born at that time.
Then in 1984, alleged documents surfaced that were alleged to be classified memos concerning the Majestic 12, MJ-12, a supposed secret operation launched by President Harry S. Truman, launched in order to handle the Roswell incident. The documents, however, were later determined to be fake. No evidence was found to support the existence of MJ-12, and of course, this was followed by an alleged alien autopsy film in 1995 that purported to show the dissection of an alien corpse from the Roswell incident. This was later deemed to be a fraud by the director itself. Now, we've talked about that video a bunch of times.
Yeah, we have.
Again, brilliantly done. It's eerie to look at and watch, and a lot of effort and time went into that, if it was indeed a fraud.
Yeah.
Did we do a yay or nay on that one, those shades of gray? I don't remember if we did.
It seems to me that's what we did, but I can't say for sure.
I think we did. No, we did one on the alien interview. That's the alien interviews, which is when we did.
You're right about that. Yep.
Well, listeners, let us know. I'm losing my mind already. I'm 46 years old, and I feel like I'm losing my mind. Memory, at least. I kind of, unfortunately, I don't want to disappoint our listeners. I'm leaning, obviously, towards the alien autopsy video being a fake. But my gosh, if it's a fake, it's really well done. Right.
I would say the same thing, but with the caveat that there
Another
is
word, ad nauseum, and now caveat.
Yeah, there is, I believe, a genuine, real, authentic alien autopsy film that has not been leaked out, that hasn't been out, that maybe somebody knows about from the inside, but the story leaked out, and then you have people, coming up with the idea to, well, let's fake this and try to put it off as being real.
Maybe is that part of the larger cover up still,
Sure.
Maybe, they're kind of like how they're putting, what better way to cover up something by basically just throwing out let's make a video in order to cover up a legit, sincere video that we have in possession. Let's quote unquote leak a fake one out there.
Yeah.
Just that will eventually be proven to be a fake, and so therefore everyone will forget about it, and they won't give a crap.
And look at how many people they can turn just with that. They'll go with the fact that it's been deemed as fake, so obviously it is. So there, they get like how many thousands of people back on the side of the government, just because they'll believe what they hear.
Now, one thing that is ironic about Berlitz and Moore and their book, The Roswell Incident, is that they were right about the government's claim that a weather balloon had crashed let me rephrase that. They were right by saying that the government's claim that it was a weather balloon, they were right in saying that was wrong, because it was not a weather balloon. Because in 1994, the Air Force admitted that the recovered material was in reality from a U.S. spy balloon, part of the aforementioned Project Mogul, which was an attempt to monitor anticipated nuclear tests by the Soviet Union. Finally, in 1997, a definitive Air Force report, the Roswell Report, case closed, ventured the opinion that stories of alien bodies may have come from civilian witnesses who saw either parachute crash test dummies, a severely injured airman parachutist, that's sad, and charred bodies from an airplane crash during the 1950s. See, that starts to get a little convoluted for me, because didn't this take place in 1947? And they're saying that these witnesses are mixing up reports of airplane crashes from the 1950s. Doesn't quite make sense. And the military says that their report proposes that the witnesses consolidated all of these separate events, the Project Mogul materials, the crash test dummies, the airmen, and the charred bodies, in their memories to create this one big foul up, messed up hoax / mystery / nothing real to see here Roswell incident.
Also, the dummies that they supposedly used in these tests, they had these they're like crash test dummies. They were like supposedly, the average weight and height of a male at that time. Mm-hmm. And I don't know how many of them they used, but say 1947, this is what they're saying was done with these mannequins parachuting down. These mannequins were never used or even brought up and used in the military till the 50s. So in 47, these dummies did not even exist.
See, again, that's stuff that just makes you scratch your head and say, okay, it's not all lining up, is it? It's just not, it's not all easy peasy black and white there, where it's like, well, this isn't it. This is what actually happened. It's like, well, no, you have to connect the dots here, because what you're saying doesn't line up.
Yeah.
I don't know,
but man. what they do or what they have done is saturated the conspiracy list and the saturated the list of explanations and why would they keep changing it? That's
Yeah.
what they're doing. They're making one big convoluted mess
Uh-huh.
where people are going to say, this is what happened. I believe this story that they told is real. I mean, they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And look what they've done that's lasted for how many decades.
Yep. Nope. It's very, I don't want to say, well, there's a structure to this seemingly convoluted
Absolutely.
mess,
Absolutely.
I kind of touched on that earlier, but well, now let's look at it from a different side, Mike. I know I'm not turning around right now. See, I'm funny. Look at it from a different side. Get it? And I'm turning around.
Okay. Thanks for explaining it.
It's never a good joke when you have to explain it. That's
Yeah.
rule number one. I'm pulling out my trusty Ancient Aliens official companion book right here. Ancient Aliens. Giorgio Tsoukalos, all those wonderful guys.
Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Giorgio Tsoukalos. Where shall we start? I'm holding up a big old copy. They have a copy of the newspaper headline right there, as you can see that, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
As it says, our RAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region. I'm not sure if in this article or if it's the following few weeks where it has that picture of Major Marcel where he's holding the debris and he's kind of looking off towards the side.
In the office?
In the office there. And
yep.
It's interesting because like his son, or is it his grandson, says that there's a reason he's looking off to the side like that and has kind of a bemused look on his face because he's under strict orders right at that moment to being told, nope, you're looking over here and you're just kind of holding this up and we're going to say this is this, whereas he knows differently. And so
right.
That's what his family members claim. So,
well, I believe years later, as he got older, he came around and was more on the side of ufology and that story was really messed with. If I remember right.
Well, there's said picture. Or no one can see it because
very famous picture.
Yeah.
And then also there's pictures that show like some forms or paperwork that got in that picture, and over years or whatever, and they were using some software to kind of clean it up and see if they could read what those were.
Mm-hmm.
And supposedly, and I had seen the photographs of it all cleaned up, but it's such a mess. It's really hard to really tell what it says, but they're pointing out where it says about the aliens recovered and all this stuff that actually said in this form, but still another, thing that's far from proven.
I do have some audio I'd like to share too, so I don't have to annoy our listeners or Mike with my reading, my nasally, whiny voice. But just perusing through this article, or this chapter, I should say. I will read this. This is what George Tsoukalos is writing. He says, why would the U.S. Army, whose officers are trained experts at aircraft identification, have confirmed that an alien aircraft had crashed only to reverse themselves the next day? For both the public and the media, this switch became a huge red flag. Is it possible that the U.S. military actually did find a downed alien spacecraft during the summer of 1947, and a secret government protocol went into effect calling for the denial of such an event? Although Colonel Blanchard stuck with the revised story, Lieutenant Hout stood by the contents of his initial report his entire life, as did Major Jesse Marcel, the first Army responder to the site at Roswell. So, I mean, there you go. Following Roswell, the public began demanding answers about who or what was behind the unexplained flying objects seen in the skies. The government finally responded 6 weeks after the incident, not by answering the question, but with President Harry Truman creating the National Security Act. So, well, maybe that those two are related. I'm not sure. Do you think that was related to the Roswell incident, Mike?
It very well could be, and I'm sure there's a lot of people that believe that.
Yeah. Oh gosh, it just the timing is just perfect for that.
It's perfect, yeah.
You're a big fan of Ancient Aliens, Mike, television show.
I am. Yes.
Now, hopefully you'll be able to hear this pretty well. I want to share just a couple of brief clips because these clips can explain it in a short, compact amount of time, as opposed to Mike and I mumbling and bumbling and stumbling over our words. And some of this stuff is pretty darn interesting anyways. The ones I want to share are labeled Roswell Secrets Revealed in Eyewitness Journal. Part 1 and Part 2. So, I guess without any further ado, we'll just go ahead.
A woman can choose.
And I don't want to have you guys hear the commercial there because that's always wonderful. Looks like this is that's a wonderful political ad. So good thing I'm not playing it. Oh gosh, it's that time of the year, man. It's that time of the year. Here we go. Can you hear? Oh, first and foremost, Mike, can you hear that?
I can.
Okay. I shall shut up and let you guys listen.
A former CIA operative, investigator, and author, Ben Smith has been intrigued by Roswell and UFOs for years.
Investigating was at the core of my work at CIA. I went under deep cover, lived a double life to collect intel on terrorist networks, foreign spy activities, even weapons of mass destruction.
Smith says this may be his most challenging mission, trying to figure out the truth about what really crashed near Roswell, New Mexico in 1947. During his investigation, Smith will work with Joe Papalardo, a veteran journalist
Papalardo?
who specializes in aviation.
I'm gonna pop something.
My investigation
Man, that guy sits down in the toilet. All you hear is, yeah.
Dump a chunk.
God dang it. I'm not making...
Dunk a chunk.
Oh, Lordy. Continuing.
really starts from this man here, Jesse Marcel Sr., the Chief of Intelligence at the 509th Bomber Group at Roswell Army Air Force Base. Jesse Marcel the Sr. kept a small Army portfolio of his military records, and in it, a small journal. Jesse Marcel, the man at the center of the claim that Roswell was a cover-up, kept this journal among his most important papers. Obviously, it was very valuable to him. The question is it a key to my investigation? Some of the dates described in the journal capture 1947. It's a remarkable piece of history, and nobody really knows about it yet.
You're right to be excited. If this is real, if this is an actual journal from that time, it would represent a primary source document from that era. So that's the thing that you want to go after as a researcher. I would like to take a look at what you got to see a little bit more about this diary.
Let me actually bring it up on the projector here. This is the notebook here. Right away, I see a typical Army field issue notebook.
I want to clarify something real quick, by the way. This is not Ancient Aliens. This is a history program called History's Greatest Mysteries. So this has nothing to do with Georgia Tsoukalos. So,
Okay.
So, hey, say what you will. Maybe that adds even more legitimacy to some listeners out there. I shall continue.
Book. So here we have a date, 1946.
This entire journal comes from when he was at Roswell.
Correct. Our date here, we have August 31st, 1947. About 6 weeks, 7 weeks after the U.S. Army Corps put out their infamous UFO crash at Roswell, flying disc. There's a beautiful cursive handwriting. And then if we fast forward, shift, just kind of erratic, mixed case, blocky lettering. And I can't make sense of it.
Couple of things leap to mind immediately when you see a change that's this drastic. It's impossible not to notice that it's different. It's either a different person writing it or it's a same person, a different mindset.
Yeah, so just to be clear, they're going over this eyewitness journal stuff. They're looking at these slides of the pages written in there. And like he mentioned, it starts off in this really nice, beautiful cursive handwriting. And then when you kind of go further and further down the line, all of a sudden it starts appearing in the very, very, very different handwriting style. Printed, kind of just printed, I should say. Not printed, but handwritten, very blocky letters. Like he just said, that something is happening that's really interesting to cause this change in handwriting style. I shall continue.
Is that by design or is that just unintentional?
The content seems the same.
How does the journal compare with the timeline of the incident?
Well, there's no mention of Roswell at all, no mention of any events, no mention of any wreckage. It's just these jokes and quotes and musings and ideas captured in different handwriting. And there's only sporadic dates. They read like quotes from Reader's Digest. Life is what you make it until someone comes along and changes it. Two half-brothers make one. Well, now that I am too old to set a bad example, I delight in giving good advice.
So it meant something to him, but no one knows what.
Yeah. He's a soldier. He was in charge of intelligence at the 509th. He knew a lot of secrets. He took them very seriously.
It's kind of hard to imagine the seriousness that people back then took secrecy and took nuclear secrecy and nuclear weapons in particular. And, I mean, there were hordes of Soviet spies trying to get this information at the time.
In 1947, the United States and the Soviet Union were already Cold War enemies. The U.S. possessed nuclear weapons while the Soviets did not. Major Jesse Marcel and his colleagues in the 509th Bomber Squadron wanted to keep it that way.
They were basically the only nuclear bombing group in the world. He was entrusted with the biggest secrets that the military has.
One thing that
was his
Marcel
grandson,
children
Jesse.
insist on is that their grandfather was absolutely certain that the debris that he was holding in this photo right here, the official government photos and the press release, is not the debris that he found in the field.
I see my grandfather holding up something that he knew that wasn't what he found.
He was adamant that this was not what he saw in the debris field.
I see a man that is not liking what they're having him do, but he knows he has to do it because that's his job.
That's not what he found. And at that point in time, I'm sure he kind of felt, well, maybe I'm going to be made out to be a fall guy.
Keeping a secret is one thing, but telling a lie is another, and being the face of that lie in the newspaper could break a man like Jesse Marcel.
That could explain the difference in the journal as well. Someone under that much stress, who knows how that manifests? It's different handwriting because in a different mental state.
What made the writing so cryptic, and why did it suddenly change? Did it have to do with the UFO or its passengers?
Okay, so you've got this hot piece of evidence in your hands. How do you plan on verifying that it's real?
I think the first step is to authenticate the document itself. Is this dated to the time period, or is this a recreation?
Okay, so we'll just so we save some time here, I'll pause for now. We'll return to the audio in a little bit. That's pretty intriguing, though, Mike. I'm sorry I didn't share the screen with you, but you could hear it, right?
Oh, yeah, I definitely did.
Yeah, so it's easy to find on YouTube, History's Mysteries, the secrets revealed in the journal here of Mr. Major Jesse Marcel. I find that a really intriguing point about, the change, the obvious change in the handwriting, as if it was kind of signifying a change in his mental state, perhaps.
Right.
Under such stress, wanting to do what's right, but also wanting to do his job. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and at that point, he had no choice, whether it was his job or not. He was under orders to do what he had to do. Mm-hmm. I mean, but being in the position he was, it was his job. But yeah, it would be very difficult.
Mike, would you have broke rank if this was you back then?
Oh, geez.
I mean, if you were the same person that you are, and this was you in a previous life, how would you think you would have handled it?
Oh, man. It would have been different, but I also would have had to have thought of, what goes through a man's mind like that is you have so much invested in your career. The trouble that you can get into if you're not doing what you're told to do. Mm-hmm. And, you're just at such a, it could be that no matter what is morally in your mind, you have to deal with what is ordered for you to do. I mean, not like you have to whatever immorally thing that you might be ordered to do, within reason, within the legal system. But as far as like, the Roswell incident or flying saucers or aliens, you have to weigh the difference and you'll have to do what you're told to do. But when the time came to where I could be released from that, then it would be a different story, which has happened a lot in this whole whatever few years of slow disclosure has been going on. People coming out when they can. So that would have been me.
Okay, I gotcha. So you definitely would have been torn, and
I would have hated it every minute after it happened.
Yeah, you just be like you'll be counting down the days until you are free to just reveal.
Yeah.
I can see that happening. Yeah, I'm not a secretive person by any measure, and so I'm just talking for me personally. I know you are not either. I mean, I'm kind of like a obnoxiously open. I'm like very, very. I'm easy to get to know. Hey, just ask me anything you want to know. I won't go reveal it just to for shits and giggles. But if I trust you, I'll tell you. But yeah, that would just kind of rip me apart, man, because I'm like you. You want to do your job. You want to be responsible. But
and it's also like the fear of what can happen to you.
Yeah, you don't want to lie.
They have a way of putting fear in you.
Do we know? I'm going to do a quick search here. Do we know if there is any audio of a Jesse Marcel interview? Did he ever appear?
I have never looked that up. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's got to be. It seems like.
Yeah, just on a quick search here, I'm not really seeing anything about him or any audio from him.
You would find more about his son and what he's done.
Yeah, exactly.
And interviews, yep.
So if you're interested, go check out History's Greatest Mysteries of Roswell Secrets Revealed in Eyewitness Journal. I played you part 1. This is of a longer program, obviously, so we're not going to bore you to death. Well, you won't be bored, but we're not going to take up all of our time, right? We got a podcast to do here.
You got business.
I did find the Ancient Aliens clip here. The Roswell debris, Ancient Aliens. This is only 3.5 minutes. Let's play this one.
Sure.
There's Mr. George Tsoukalos. Ah, such great hair. Wonderful hair on that man.
Sweet tarts.
And then another commercial about sweet tarts. So, wonderful. And they'll be done in about 7 seconds, counting down 5, 4, 3,
2,
and
1.
And here we go. And that's not the one I wanted to play. Of course, this one. Sorry about that. This is Ancient
April
Aliens.
of 2014, ancient astronaut theorist Giorgio Tsoukalos traveled to Walker Air Force Base in Roswell, New Mexico, to meet with the city's mayor, Del Journey, and to get a rare look at the hangar where the Roswell wreckage and extraterrestrial bodies were allegedly first taken.
Wow. This is huge. So what do you think? Man, I have goosebumps right now. I mean, we're walking on history. It's amazing, isn't it? Are you familiar where the spot is, where they actually the information that I have says that it's probably right over here in the corner. They took them over there, did an examination of the bodies. So
We should point out, too, that this was like 2014, as it said, and this was from the mayor. And, hey, let's just be frank. You can still be Mike. I'll be Frank. People are all about bringing in money to their town. Roswell itself has festivals. I mean, they definitely.
Oh, every year they do it up pretty big.
Yeah, and again, I'm not saying that delegitimizes it at all.
No.
At all. But they're being financially wise. They're
if they
taking
didn't
advantage
have that, who knows what the town would be right now? I mean,
that's a great point.
Drying up. But I wonder if that hangar, that would be so cool if we could find out, talk to whoever the mayor is there now and say, would you mind if we rented out the hangar for just one evening, one night, overnight? Do a live stream from there.
And this thing is massive. This is a massive hangar. So
it's I've seen it. It's like when I was in the military, and our offices were in a hangar that was converted. It was all open so we could park vehicles in there, and that's where we worked out of. And that thing was unbelievably huge. I mean, B-52 size.
Oh wow, yeah, that looks like this.
Yeah.
This could definitely fit Mike and myself in it. Well, let's put it that
way. Just kind of sit up against the wall in the back corner.
Yeah.
With their little laptop in front of us.
Well, it's actually so large is that you could probably sit in one corner and I could sit in another corner and we could just do a chat via Zoom.
That's right. That would be awesome.
All right. Continuing the clip.
This is where it was. This is it. Yeah, come on in. They have the debris out here in the hangar area, and they bring the bodies inside this room.
I really don't know what to say, because, I mean, if this was it...
You're standing where...
In it, yeah.
Where extraterrestrial beings...
might have been. Where did the debris go? Where did it end up?
Well, it ended up with the government, of course. My understanding is it took the bodies to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Certainly probably took the debris as well and have it well preserved in a military installation someplace.
Roswell researchers suggest a government-sanctioned bond of secrecy has prevented witnesses of the crash and retrieval from coming forward publicly. But many did choose to come forward later in life, including the first military officer to arrive at the Roswell crash site, Major Jesse Marcel. According to his grandson, Marcel privately shared many details of his experience with the family.
My grandfather, Major Jesse Marcel, he was head of intelligence for the 509th Bombing Group. As a kid, basically around the dinner table, we talked about Roswell. And through conversations, we learned that my grandfather was the lead investigator into what has become known as the Roswell incident. And when he was looking at debris, he couldn't make heads or tails or any sense out of what he was looking at. He had gathered some of the debris and decided to take it home with him. He kind of came to this idea that he said, whatever this stuff is, it's very significant. It's going to change humanity. And I want my family to be part of it. This is very important.
According to the family's story, Major Marcel came home after his first visit to the site and laid the debris out on the floor of their kitchen. Some of the material was a strange, thin metal, similar to foil, except when crumpled up into a ball, it would bounce back to its flawless state. Marcel also claims the metal was not the same material featured in newspaper photographs being held by his grandfather.
There's a pretty famous picture of him holding a piece of debris, which is just a piece of foil, basically, and it was weather balloon material. He grudgingly went along with the story, held it. And if you take a look at that, you'll notice that he's not looking at the camera. He's looking up somebody barking him orders. He fell in line begrudgingly and did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, it's kind of what we just kind of hit on a little bit earlier. So
yeah. When you're in the military like that, you're under an obligation, a sworn oath, and they make sure that you know that that's the way things are.
Yeah.
Starting in basic training.
No questions asked.
No questions asked.
Well, Mike, to wrap up this this topic here for this episode, thanks again for joining me. This has been fun. This has flown by.
Fun every time.
Yeah, and on our new podcast recording night of Wednesday. So
yes,
let us know.
Can I do one thing real quick? With
hell no,
I cannot do a subject or a topic on Roswell without mentioning the one man that has really had a lot to do with bringing Roswell to the public worldwide. And that's Stanton Friedman.
Oh, very good. Yeah.
Passed away in 2019, but he was...
You're a big fan. Big fan.
He was the big person. He was the person that brought the story out and started researching it right away. And it was because of him that it would have came out anyway and would have been making more progress, I'm sure. But he really steamrolled it.
Absolutely brought it to the forefront. Hastened it. That's for sure. Hastened the spread of the story.
Yeah.
Mike, are you familiar with what is known as the Roswell Rock?
Yes.
Can I read this? Can I read this really quick?
Yes, it's very interesting, and it's well worth touching on.
Just bear with me, listeners. I have to read this. It's only one page, like one long paragraph. On a September morning, 2004, Robert Ridge was tracking deer 11 miles from the infamous UFO crash site in Roswell, New Mexico, when an unusual object caught his eye. Small, triangular rock sticking out of the sand, which appeared to have an intricate design embossed on its surface. The design, featuring two smaller circles overlaid on a larger circle, each of the smaller circles incised with what looked like symbols for the sun and the moon. It is so intentional and so finely carved that the rock is clearly not the byproduct of natural forces. I would hope not. That would be really creepy if just natural erosion created that perfect shape, perfect design. And yet it was not obviously man-made either. The beveled edges of the design were incredibly precise and clear, even under the high magnification of a microscope, suggesting an advanced laser cutting tool was used to carve it. Now, deepening the mystery of the rock, studies of the stone revealed that not only was it magnetized, but also it was a type of rock not native to the area. Astonishingly, it would turn out that the design rising from the face of the Roswell rock was an exact match for a 120-foot-long crop circle discovered in a wheat field below the Liddington Castle Hill Fort in Chiselton near Swindon, England. In August 1996, almost a decade earlier and 5,000 miles away. Could the matching designs, one discovered so near the site of the most impactful UFO sighting of the modern era and one part of an ongoing unexplained phenomena, be just a coincidence? Mike? Coincidence?
No.
All right. See you next week.
No.
Igor? Coincidence?
No.
I didn't think so.
There's got to be a connection through all of that. Space and time, as far as like the miles apart from these things, means nothing to whoever these can be attributed to.
It doesn't.
So
that's just really. Again, if it is man-made, that's obvious. I don't know. That one's it's a real head scratcher. It's a head scratcher.
It's a head scratcher.
It's a definite.
Patrick in his speech impediment.
I can't help it today. My gosh, it's these Wednesday recordings, man. I just can't help it.
Yeah. We got to get used to that.
This is what's going on inside my brain right now. Yeah. Sorry about that.
But you figure, the crop circle that was in England that perfectly matched this design on this rock. The meaning for that crop circle there in England, this rock has the same meaning where it was found. It's just that, it's just in a different form. It's a very important find, and to have it made, the way it was checked out and everything, it's just so intricate and so perfect in design and almost like it was stamped into it. It was so, it looked so,
and like they said, it was so precise. It was like it was, from a laser, more than likely from a laser, but I want to know, I want to know the age of this rock.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they really can't carbon date rock, I guess, but how would they find out the age of, it's interesting. But the rock itself, even without that design on it, is just such a smooth and almost tooled smooth rock. It's just a beautiful piece.
See,
yeah,
that's
it's amazing.
And I'm not being a stinker poo here by saying that, but because the pseudo skeptics, the non-believers, would immediately say, well, we don't know how old it is. Why is it so hard to believe that isn't just carved from a very, an artisan, an artist,
right?
And he just saw this picture of a crop circle, and hey, I'm going to carve this into a rock, and I'm going to throw it away, and somehow it ended.
Well, and the way I look at it, actually, is age. Probably, I don't even think age matters to it. About it, I mean,
what do you mean?
So
what do you
much.
Mean by that?
It could have been made for some reason by an alien being the day before it was found. It still contains enough reason for being as big as it is. Just with the other connections with the crop circle in England, or the proximity of the crash. Yeah,
that's the thing too. It was like not even 11 miles from the Roswell site. So it adds.
Maybe it was. Yeah, right. Exactly. Maybe it was on the ship, and the ship, I think, started breaking up before it came down. What if this came from the ship?
That's another thing too. Thank you for saying that. I love that idea, Mike. That it was like maybe on board the spacecraft.
Right.
That's another thing. We didn't really have time to dive into that, but there's a lot of crazy, bizarre theories out there. Different. Well, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say crazy, but definitely weird and eccentric.
Well, we can come up with more even.
Oh, yeah. Sure. There are some people who believe that it wasn't an alien pilot error that caused the craft to crash. It was actually struck by lightning.
Right. That is it. There was storms in the area at the time,
and some say that they say, well, why the hell are they hovering that close to Earth anyways? Some suggest that they were overseen watching us because, hey, nuclear weapons, hello. They're checking that out, making sure we're not blowing ourselves up, perhaps.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff out there that just isn't answered, and quite frankly, will never will be answered. And that's why people like you and I are still talking about it.
We can hope, for answers still. The whole disclosure thing, hopefully that's going to keep coming, and with disclosure, we can maybe learn about the true, things that happened.
What do you think about the crazy idea that, because it is well known that, that, not to throw out this chipper guy, that Hitler was really, really forceful and adamant about creating high-powered new machinery, for military purposes. We're talking battleships. We're talking airships. Some people say that this was a Nazi craft that somehow wandered over international airlines on its way over to Roswell. And I'm not suggesting that at all, but you never know.
I don't think the Roswell was a Nazi craft. I think the Nazis, it's known that they were working on certain crafts like this, and I believe anti-gravity and
right.
a lot of things like that, but I don't think that they made it far enough to be out flying one of their ships like
overseas,
like how we would right, exactly, like how we would see UFOs and things like that. I think they hit. This is just my off the top of my head feelings about it, but I think there's parts of it that they couldn't get right. They couldn't manage it to make it work right. If the aliens were here during that time and really overseeing and what we're doing with nuclear power, and they didn't want us to, the way it seems and the way we have heard over history, that they don't really want us to have these nuclear weapons or this knowledge or way to use these things. So if they were messing with our missile sites and everything and shutting down, showing us what they can do, why would they allow another country to design a ship with their technology that's going to cause so much damage and destruction to the other parts of the world, wherever the Germans decided to use this technology?
No, I got you.
Whether it was, something that just Hitler was doing or, I can't think that it would have been alien technology that they were giving the Nazis.
Well, again, we've also suggested, okay, we're going way off the deep end here.
Right. I just don't think they would have chosen sides like that.
Right. But what I was going to say is we've also talked about, it's an infinite universe. Are all alien beings of a malevolent nature?
Oh, right. We have talked to that. That's, true.
And so maybe there are dickhead, dinky aliens out there who want to blow up the earth. And so they're giving it to idiots like Hitler. Here you go. Do it.
Yeah.
Do yourselves in. I mean, again, I'm being
kind
of weird.
Having that done without them having to use their technology and have them blamed on doing it. Yeah. Let's make it so the other guys they can kill each other.
I'm with you though too, Mike. I don't think that anybody had that advanced technology back in 1947 to be able to secretly, basically. What's the word I'm looking for? Well, again, flying overseas into highly secure airfields, it doesn't make sense to someone like me. Again, who the hell knows?
Yeah, I believe the technology could have been introduced, but not given all the plans perfected. To where it can be.
Like the idea could be there,
done.
But as far as them being able to actually perfect it and actually utilize it, no, I'm with you on that one. So.
They could have done that knowing that, well, they aren't going to get this for another 300 years anyway. So,
right.
But the seed had to be planted somewhere.
And in the meantime, we're going to drop this rock out our window and hopefully someone will find it, in 2004 or whatever that year was or something.
Yeah. So. Boy, we just traveled the world with those explanations. And
just here's a token that a token reminder that we were here. Whoopsie, dropped our little stone carving out the window. Well, Mike, this has been great as always.
As always.
Again, if you guys enjoy the podcast, shameless plug time, we'd love to see you at the Patreon page, both the Paranormally Zone Patreon page, where you find exclusive content just like this. If you enjoy this, we're even more laid back on our Patreon episodes. We have 54 exclusive Patreon episodes recorded and available already, including commentary and breakdown episodes of like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters episodes, any number of well-known cryptid / alien / ghost videos. We're sharing those. We're talking about those creature features, our own personal paranormal investigation audio and video clips. You want to see Mike and I run around like idiots in cemeteries? Hey, go check out the Patreon page and our exclusive Patreon podcast, Retro and Randoms, which has nothing to do with the paranormal.
It doesn't have to at all.
All things pop culture, movies, music, television, just anything. It's with a heavy dose focus on, retro, but also a heavy dose on random. Our last two topics included Indiana Jones, and the last episode was Flippin' Pantera. I can't drop the F-bomb like I did on Retro and Randoms, but
still, what the heck is a Pantera?
Oh, you hush. Just hush.
I put that on the Twitter.
And for
what
that,
the hell's a Pantera?
For that last episode, longtime listeners recognize my co-host for that episode, formerly known as Mr. Show. Yeah, my brother Joe, a passionate music fan, as am I, and we had a great time talking about all things Pantera. Again, totally non-related to paranormal, just fun, good times. I think you guys would enjoy it. And Mike, we got Retro and Randoms episode 10 coming up already.
Yes.
So we got to think of something good.
And a big thank you to your brother from the same mother for filling in for me again on another.
I know.
Yeah.
Just don't feel down or don't feel left out.
I do. But
no.
Hey, if it's making your brother happy, then goddamn it, we're good.
No.
All right.
No.
Well, thank you very much again for joining me. Thank you to all of our listeners out there, our family, friends,
our pure family,
our fellow paranormal ponderers and zoners. Mike, until next time, my friend, what do we all have to do?
Everybody just peace out.